Hey, welcome to hell. Did you miss me? I had to take a week off doing some ruined shit, trying to get this fourth album, Psychopaths, all wrapped up. So David and I have been in the dungeon, in the death basement, and trying to get the songs all finalized for the second half of Psychopaths. So we got 5 more songs to add, and we've pretty much been hammering those out the last few weeks. And we should be able to get that going here shortly. Sorry, I had to turn that fan off. Forgot to turn the damn fan. It's kind of hot here in Southern California today at this time. So the sun hits my house and it gets pretty hot. Maybe not as hot as some other parts of the region like Arizona one. Anyways, who cares? Well, we got another Demo Stacks episode for you. Some heavy duty shit, some of my favorites from the past. And I think you're going to enjoy it. Nice stack of 6 more tapes to talk about. And I got some stories on them and whatnot, some cool shit. So with that being said, let's fucking go. All right, you saw that picture there. Got some cool shit going on. We're going to start right here. This band, Suffocation. I got my ugly cream-colored, re-cremated Suffocation demo shirt on. Found this recently. Kind of reminds me of the old white Jesus Wept shirt that I used to have. That's long gone. That was like a large, medium or large, and I was much smaller back then when I was a kid. So even if I did still have that shirt, I wouldn't be able to fit into it. But yeah, that shirt's long gone, but we're going to talk about re-cremated Suffocation. This is what brought them on the scene. Try to get the glare off of there. Sorry, I'm still learning this shit, you know? I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, so I'm still trying to figure out this stuff. I do have a pretty fancy microphone, though. I got that. Pretty soon I'll be getting a better webcam, too. So, been doing some shopping, you know, very busy during the week. And then on the weekend, I try to plan these videos if I can, if I don't have band stuff going on. But I will be getting a camera here shortly over the holidays, probably. I don't think it'll be a Christmas present. I'll have to buy myself a Christmas present. So anyways, back to Suffocation, re-cremated. Suffocation, you all know who that is. They're one of the most famous death metal bands in the world at this point. They had a commercial on the History Channel. It was pretty fucking brutal. I think a lot of the death metal heads remember that. And if you don't, well, they had some sort of commercial on the History Channel for one of the shows. I forget what show it was. Something about violence and mayhem and murder and death. But yeah, Suffocation, the pride of Long Island. Fucking Long Island, you know? Long Island. They were formed in 1988. And the history is a little, you know, that's kind of all over the place. There was a bunch of bands back in the day that were in the area. And Suffocation kind of took members from a few different bands that were around in the late 80s. So Mr. Frank Mullen, Mr. Josh Barone were in the original version of Suffocation. But then I think Mike Smith was also in there. Mike was a hardcore underground dude. Everybody knows Mike, the original drummer. And let's see. He grabbed Terrence and Doug Cerrito at one point. They were in a band called Mortuary. So all these guys, these 5 guys got together at the Suffocation that we came to know, the original version there with this demo and the Human Waste EP, which is awesome. And of course, the classic debut Effigy of the Forgotten. So Terrence, Doug, Mike, Frank, and Josh. That's the lineup of the original Suffocation in 1990. And Doug Cerrito actually made this logo, apparently. And that's how I got in contact with the band. Let me get into the history here and grab a couple images. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting how these episodes evolve, and the history of some of these tapes involves different aspects, whether it's writing to the bands, whether it's record stores, whether it's finding them in packages like flyers from other bands, reading fanzines. That was a huge thing, and that's how I found out about Suffocation. There was a little bit of a buzz at the time before it became really big, because this demo is fucking awesome. So, we all knew that the band was going to take off. There was already the wave on the East Coast with Immolation, Gorophobia, Mortician, and all the bands that were starting to come out, putting out stuff. And a lot of the demos and the legendary flyers that were making their way around the underground, and the shows, obviously, that were legendary too. So a lot of us on the West Coast started getting to know the Eastern Seaboard death metal bands. And, Suffocation was already a name that was around. And there was a fanzine called Dying Terror magazine. Great cover. Never trust a hippie. And they got Jesus on there. So as you can see, Suffocation's part of this. They had Batham, Nocturnal, The Accused, Filthy Christians, Nuclear Death, and Impetigo. And the list goes on. There's a really cool interview with Richard C. Mortician's in there. I think he interviews Will. And Morbid Angel, I think that was a Richard Brunel interview, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of stuff. Really, this fanzine was one of my all-time favorites. Had a lot of humor to it, a lot of shit talking. The reviews were hilarious. He even did some, like a couple of the reviews, he started with like a crank call or whatever, like some salesperson calling him, and I can't come to the phone. Bruce can't come to the phone because he's sucking pimentos out of my asshole, something like that. It was fucking classic. So anyway, Suffocation was in this fanzine, and this is Mike Smith that did the interview. I believe I used to write to Dying Terror dude. I think his name was Paul, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, trying to get the brain cells going. He's a really cool dude. Wrote to him a few times to get the magazine. I think I bought one of the copies even at Wild Rags later on, but I did write to Paul or whoever was running Dying Terror. Like I said, I think it was Paul. But yeah, this is a really cool short interview with Mike talking about stuff and the band and whatnot, when they first started. And there was some dude named Jason Clement or whatever. I guess he must have been a friend or a manager. I don't think he was ever in the band as far as I know. And anyways, I saw that address, wrote to Suffocation, and Mr. Doug Cerrito wrote back and answered the letter that I wrote. And I got the demo and the Jesus Wept shirt eventually. I don't know if I got that in the same package. I think I got the demo first, and then Doug was really cool and we were pen paling. And then I ended up ordering the Jesus Wept shirt. And I think maybe, don't know if Human Waste was coming out at that point, if they had copies, or if I got that from Relapse, but love that Human Waste EP as well. But anyways, yeah, so I'm going to do an episode on some of the old fanzines at some point. Like I said, the way this all evolves, start having ideas. Oh yeah, there's some killer fanzines here. So this episode, I talk about a couple fanzines. I'm going to talk about another one having to do with one of the other tapes in this episode. And but yeah, Dying Terror fanzine, Fucking classic. Look that up. I doubt there's even, I haven't looked or whatever. I don't think there's any copies on eBay. I know that some of my friends have asked me to make copies of fanzines for them and whatnot. I don't think people understand like how expensive it is to go to, Office Depot or Staples or whatever and to like do something like this to print. It's going to be like $50 to print something like this. Some of the fanzines, this one was pretty thick too, Dying Terror. It had a lot of stuff in it. That's why I loved it, but here is the classic Suffocation logo drawn by Doug, my buddy Doug there. And so, yeah, it's, once I started writing to Doug and then got this demo, I was hooked with fucking Suffocation at that point. And here's a classic picture of the boys, young bucks back in the day, ready to kick some ass, fucking ready to death metal it up over there in Long Island, fucking Long Island. And then here is a picture of this demo that I'm talking about. Re-cremated. So yeah, this demo, I mean, you could look it up on YouTube. It's fucking absolutely classic stuff. It's they went the brutal, a little bit more technical route later on with Effigy. I prefer the demo and Human Waste. I know, one of those fucking guys. I like the demo and this and that, but that's just the way I roll, unfortunately. It's nice and raw, a little bit more simplistic, and I just think they really had it dialed in. So, listening to this demo, it wasn't surprising when they ended up getting signed to Roadrunner and they blew up. I was a little surprised when I heard Effigy. I do like the early Suffocation albums. It's a little too clinical and clean for me in that sense, just my personal taste. I like my death metal raw and dirty, and obviously more old school. Suffocation actually seemed to start the brutal stuff, so the drumming was just insane, but to me, some of the faster blasts just lost the power for me. Just me personally, I still dug it though, and they were a powerhouse live. Seeing them around Effigy and Breeding the Spawn and whatnot, on tour. They started coming around LA and stuff, so we'd always go see them. My buddies always wanted to go see them, and then plus I seemed to always have one of my friends' bands that were opening for them. So yeah, I got in touch with Jason through Dying Terror, and then got a hold of Doug. Like I said, Doug's not in the band anymore, but he was a super cool guy. This demo, Re-cremated, has 3 songs: Human Waste, Involuntary Slaughter, and the title track, Re-cremated. So classic stuff, just New York death metal, another band. Like I said, I think Immolation kind of put New York death metal on the map for me, and that's the band I always think of. And I think Suffocation's definitely up there too. They could be 1A for me, 2 as far as the other band. It's just like Immolation, Suffocation, Mortician. That's the main players off the top of my head. And of course, people think Mortician's more grindcore, whatnot, and brutal death and yada yada. And Suffocation, obviously, got a bit more on the brutal side, on the technical side or whatever. It's still death metal though. It's obviously they are legends now, and they've been doing it for a very long time. They're still at it. I think Terrence is the only original member. He's the only guy here in this lineup that's left. I know Frank recently retired a few years ago. Josh, I don't know whatever happened to him. I know he joined Autopsy for a little bit, and then he hasn't been there in a while. I don't know what bands is. Mike, I know there was some shit between him and the members. I don't know the whole story either. And then Doug left at a certain point. And then I guess when the Suffocation had broken up at one point, but then when they were gone for a little bit, when they came back, I don't think Doug wanted to do it. He was doing some other stuff, maybe family stuff or whatever. So yeah, Terrence over there on second from the right. He's the only guy left. Terrence is an awesome dude. Actually, all these guys are awesome. They See, I think that's so after Doug left, they had a bass player named Chris Richards, and I made friends with him actually backstage. I think Sadistic Intent was gigging with Suffocation. Suffocation was on tour, and there was this random place in the city, Pico Rivera, which is like a suburb of LA. And they were having shows there. I know Morbid Angel at the Gates and Dissection played there. And then Suffocation was on tour. I can't remember who they were on tour with. And but Sadistic played too. So I got backstage and made a beeline for the beers. And apparently I started drinking Suffocation's beer. So Chris Richards, the bass player, you know, he came over, hey, what the fuck you think you're doing? Drinking our beer? You know, in the Long Island accent. Oh, shit, sorry, man. I'm just fucking with you, bro. What's up? My name's Chris. So him and I started shooting the shit, and then got to meet Doug. It was their first time in LA. And, or no, my bad. The first time in LA was actually with Dismember Invader. Yeah, so I get to hang out with them. That was a year prior, probably. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember all my scrambled eggs brains here. So the second time they came was probably the Breeding the Spawn tour, and then that's when they played that Pico Rivera place with Sadistic. And I don't know if they were headlining in Pico Rivera or not, but they, yeah, that show was fun. Getting to hang out with those guys, catch up with Doug, you know, shoot the shit, and then meet the rest of the guys. Everybody's cool. Frank's super cool, and Terrence, like, you know, he's one of the nicest guys ever. You know, you talk to him, very down to earth, fucking chill dude, and always remembers your name type shit, you know, so really cool. Haven't seen him in a long time, but he's always been really cool. But yeah, Chris, very cool dude. Like I said, made friends with him, and then let me take this down. I'm yapping, forgetting to take down the image. That's a cool image though. So, but yeah, I got to drink beers with Chris, and I did drink quite a few of Suffocation's beers. But the promoter, infamous Izat, he's the one that did the show. I did give Izat money to get Suffocation more beer, and he did. They went into the store and they got more beer, and I chipped in on that. I didn't pay for all of it, but you know, I forked over a good amount because I was working at the time. So, yeah, so it was interesting too. I was looking this up. Human Waste, the EP, was actually the first official CD put out on Relapse Records. I thought that was pretty cool. You know, so the Relapse, you know, they had a series of 7 inches that they had put out prior to that. Obviously, that's how they started getting known. But yeah, Human Waste, Suffocation was the first official CD put out on Relapse. So yeah, I mean, obviously Suffocation, like I said, they're legends. You know, they got this demo, and then Human Waste, Effigy, Breeding, and then they went on and, you know, put out a bunch of albums, toured the world. They're legends now, very well loved and respected. And they innovated brutal death metal in a lot of ways, threw in some more technical elements because these dudes can play, you know, so that style became extremely popular. And then a lot of bands were influenced by that and started coming out, you know. I mean, I know Dying Fetus came from the underground, and but I know that they were very influenced by what Suffocation was doing. And there's a lot of bands that, you know, were coming up at that time that basically kind of took that similar brutal tech style or whatever and ran with it. You know, like I said, I prefer the early stuff, and you know, I love that early stuff. But you know, who would have thought that someone like Suffocation, I know when the, you know, that old picture of those guys, how young they were, and it just reminds me of you know, when I was getting into the underground and, you know, getting involved and getting all these demos that I'm talking about on these shows. You know, never in my wildest dreams would I ever thought that any of these bands would become what they are. You know, I never would have thought that Suffocation would have become this legendary band, long-running band. And it's like, I don't even think the guys even had an idea of any of that happening. You know, they just wanted to get their death metal out there. And it's kind of a bonus. You know, you get your tape out there, your demo tape, you know, you print some shirts, maybe you put out a 7-inch, some label contacts you, and you're just fucking excited beyond belief that anybody even wants to work with you and give you the time of day, right? So whether it's a split or your own 7-inch, you put that out. Next thing you know, you put maybe an EP out. Maybe you do a full length. Some label comes along. They're probably going to rip you off, fuck you over. You're going to be fucked. Not going to make any fucking money. Going to have to go on tour and get fucked. But who cares, man? When you're young, you're just excited and you just want to get out there and fucking conquer the world, you know? So, you know, definitely as a young person, you're not really thinking that far ahead. And I had never in my wildest dreams ever would have thought that I'd be here years later talking about this stuff. And I know the Suffocation guys, you know, when they first started this, I don't think they had any idea of how far this stuff would take them, you know, in history and in their lives, you know. So it's an amazing thing, you know. It's fucking cool. You know, you don't know what the future holds. And a lot of us, you know, we don't get into this to get signed and tour the world and make money or whatnot, because you're not going to make shit, you know. Even these guys, a lot of them probably have day jobs, you know. So it's just, but still, it's amazing to be able to experience this stuff and tour and play festivals and put out releases and do cool merchandise and meet the fans that love you and shit, you know. So the scale that Suffocation is on, though, is much larger than anything I could ever imagine, you know. So it's fucking cool. It's cool seeing, you know, going from this to who they are now, you know. It's just fucking, it's fascinating. It's fucking cool. And especially since, you know, these guys are fucking cool. Now Terrence, he's the only one left. He's one of the coolest guys. So, you know, he deserves the success. And it's just fucking, that's what it's all about, you know. But yeah, they're legendary, almost like a mainstream band now, you know. They're a household name. So, but at one time they were down here in the fucking underground, and this tape is what got it started. Reincremated. Go check it out. Fucking some of the finest New York death metal, and even to this day, you know, Suffocation's a great live band. So go check them out when they're out on tour. They're still killing it. So they might even play a couple classics off of this. Who knows? I haven't seen them in a long time, but fucking Suffocation. Go check it out. Reincremated. But before we move on to the next band, I got some cool Suffocation footage from back in the day. Check it out. Yeah, that was the infamous G. Willikers in Pennsauken, New Jersey, 1990, July of 1990. So maybe that was my brother Roy filming. You know, Roy's the mayor of New Jersey. You know, Death Metal Podcast and Necrohomonic. He might have been filming that specific clip. I'm not sure. Or my other brother Ed Farshty, Mr. Armageddon himself. I know he was out and about. Even he's a New Yorker, but he might have been over there in Jersey filming that too, because I know he did a lot of filming. So both of those guys are old school as fuck. So it could have been either one of them. Maybe they were both there filming, and this is just one of the angles. But yeah, that's fucking killer. 1990 Suffocation at the legendary, infamous G. Willikers. There's a lot of classic flyers from that era that actually I got, like some of the pen pals on the East Coast would write on the back of the flyers or whatnot. So that's, I'd put them up on my wall. Classic shit. All right, the next band is Anathema from England. Their death metal era, when they were actually a death metal band. An Iliad of Woes. This is the demo that I got. So they were part of the Peaceville 3, or as I like to call them, the Deadly Trio. Anathema, My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost. Like I said, there's something going on in the fucking water over there. Some people call them Anathema. I call them Anathema, whatever. Apples and oranges, I guess. Asuk, Asuk. Celtic Frost, Celtic Frost. Voivod, Voivod, I don't know. Fucking DRI dry now. Now I'm reaching. Anyways, Anathema. Anathema. And they were fucking heavy duty. This is their full-on, just pure death metal era. There was touches of doom here and there, but it was mostly just straight-up death metal on this. So they were formed in 1990 in Liverpool, England. An Iliad of Woes. So this demo came out in late 1990. The band was originally Pagan Angel, and they changed it to Anathema. And there was 3 brothers in the band, and I wrote to one of the brothers, Jamie. He was the bass player. I don't remember how I got a hold of Jamie, but probably just the tape trading circles and the fanzines, and I saw an ad. Maybe it was even one of the other English bands I was writing to, probably, because the countrymen would help each other out a lot of times too. So if you wrote to Paradise Lost, you would get flyers about My Dying Bride, Anathema, Decomposed, and so on and so forth. And same with New York. I mean, that's how I discovered the Eastern Seaboard bands. Sweden, Finland, Norway, same thing. Any of the countries, Germany, all the countries used to write to, Japan, Australia. Seemed like everybody was helping each other out for the most part, as long as they got along, I guess. I know there was probably motherfuckers that didn't like each other, but in England, it seemed like everybody was the English gentleman, at least in the old tape training days. This demo's got, like I said, late 1990 it came out. It's got 4 songs. Memento Mori, In the Name of the Father, Mortal Pestilence, and Echoes of Terror. This is 30 minutes of UK death metal sickness, man. Fucking badass stuff. They kind of had their own little style, mid to fast paced stuff, not far removed from some of the other English bands, like Paradise Lost always had a dreary quality to them. And I think that really influenced Anathema and My Dying Bride and a lot of the other Decomposed, Lord of Putrefaction, a lot of the bands that came out after. My Dying Bride and Anathema kind of started more straightforward. They even had some blast beats here and there, more mid-paced to fast death metal, very heavy though, and yeah, this is a half hour. And yeah, Jamie was really cool. I always had good experiences with the Brits. Proper English gentlemen, very fucking cool peeps for sure. And let's see, the second demo, All Faith Is Lost, I have that one too. Well, that's for another time. It was similar, and you could tell with All Faith Is Lost they were moving into the kind of doomy, dreary direction, so the water over there, the weather started getting to everybody, and everybody started slowing down, getting fucking heavy, dark. And then everybody got happy again and started playing rock. Everybody started playing romantic doom rock or whatever at some point, because all the bands got weird. My Dying Bride became like a Pink Floyd. Paradise Lost turned into Metallica. Anathema turned into the Doors, kind of, But not on this demo, man. This is fucking death metal. But I do love the old kind of eerie melodic Anathema stuff as well. You know, once they started getting more doomy. They did a 7-inch on Witch Hunt Records, and then they had which was awesome. They got that classic Crestfallen EP, was killer, and then the Serenades album. You know, once they got on Peaceful, obviously part of the Peaceful 3. Yeah, Serenades is badass too. You know, it's just one of those. It's a good driving album. You know, you don't want to listen to it when you're sad. Let's put it that way. When you're sad, you got to listen to some uplifting stuff. I know sometimes maybe the sad music fucking helps you get you out of your depression. Not for me though. Yeah, the Crestfallen EP was 92, Serenades was 93, and obviously they went on to do a bunch of albums. I think they recently just broke up, like 2022, maybe 2023. So I'm unaware of any of their later stuff. I lost track of them. That's just kind of how I operate, unfortunately. So I can't speak on any of, I haven't even heard any of their past stuff. But here's their classic logo. The bones and body parts rotting, fucking badass. I'd like to get a shirt of that. That'd be killer. There's a classic band photo of the boys hanging out in maybe the cemetery. Not sure. That's a awesome picture though. Quite a tree. This is actually a cool pic too. This is in the demo. Kind of creepy. Looks like they're hanging out maybe at a museum or a church or something. And then here is the cover. An Iliad of Woes, Lord of Mortal Pestilence, Memento Mori, In the Name of the Father, and Echoes of Terror. And then here's some cool live footage I found. Check it out. Brutal stuff. Fuck yeah. So yeah, that they were definitely not fucking around. They were heavy duty. And yeah, it's cool. I think I talked about Witch Hunt Records. That's the label that put out the 7-inch that they did. It had the songs They Die and Crestfallen on it. And Witch Hunt did a bunch of cool releases. They did this Anathema 7-inch. They did a Sinister 7-inch, a Phlegethon 12-inch, a killer band Blur, their full length, a Sadness album, another killer doom metal band that I enjoyed. They did a classic Vomitory 7-inch too. And I have that somewhere. I'm gonna hunt that down. And Celestial Season 7-inch, which I dug that band too. You know, I liked all the old doom stuff from this era, and Anathema is definitely one of them. But on this demo, they were just straight up death metal. The first two demos were death metal, and once they did the 7-inch and the Crestfallen EP, they started, you know, slowing down, getting heavy. It was still killer though. You know, even the early Death Doom stuff, you know, it got a little bit more melodic and, you know, female singing and keyboards and stuff like that, but it was still really dreary and oppressive. You know, the atmosphere was still fucking killer, and even the production was a little cleaner and whatnot, but it was still, you know, it's like the bands and the artists were still hungry and still had a one foot still in that death metal grave, so to speak. So it was quite a time. So I enjoy a lot of that old death doom and doom metal stuff, you know, as long as some of it's fucking weird too, but in a good way, you know. But then once, you know, some of these bands just started turning into rock bands or whatnot, I couldn't do it. If I want to hear rock stuff, I'll just put the classic rock on, you know. That's just, you know, there's some good rock bands that pop up over the years in recent memory, but it's few and far between. Just not my thing. I want to hear some, you know, death metal. I'll listen to the classic Anathema stuff or their doom stuff before they started turning into rock. But yeah, Anathema and Iliad of Woes. Look it up. Classic shit. All right, the next band, HEMDALE. Fucking HEMDALE. This is another demo tape that I got from my crusty buddy Russell. I didn't get this from the band. This is a tape trader copy. We don't call them bootlegs, but I guess it is. But yeah, Russell hooked me up a copy of this. He was keeping me on top of the latest grindcore and stenchcore, and that's when core was a good word and got totally fucked and soiled, ruined later on. But back in the day, core, grindcore, and stenchcore, and even deathcore was actually not a scarlet letter or a piece of shit band like it is these days. But now HEMDALE was a grindcore band from Cleveland, Ohio. They started in 1992 as Choke, and then the following year they changed their name to HEMDALE. They did an initial demo called Internal Rot. I think that's where the grind band, who's really good these days, that's where they probably got their name from. But yeah, the first demo, summer of 94. This second demo, the self-titled one, is the late summer of 94. So the first demo was like early 90, you know, mid 94. This one's late 94. Apparently, this is also known as the Carnivore demo. Not sure why. That's just what I read up on my research. 13 songs are on this beast. 20 minutes. I'm not going to even name the titles. Lots of serial killers and jokes and talking shit. And no, it's fucking killer. Very energetic. Fucking just death grind. You know, I mean, you're probably aware of this band, and they're pretty legendary at this point. But, you know, if you're into a couple of the other bands I've talked about recently, you know, Dahmer, Disgorge, it's that similar type of thing where it's mixing, you know, death metal and grindcore. So grinding death metal, death grind, I like to call it death grind. But yeah, really killer. And very influential, you know, like I said, with bands like Dahmer and Disgorge, and then HEMDALE merging, you know, death metal and grindcore, making, you know, death grind a household name in a sense, you know. And these were just like normal dudes making some fucking crazy ass music too. Here's the classic logo that we all know and love. And then here's the boys hanging out in the park, drinking some beers, up to no good. Probably burying a corpse somewhere or something. But yeah, I don't know how old they are. They look like they're teenagers, you know. But they made this, you know. It's quite impressive. I forgot to flip it. I should have flipped it. Hold on. Let's do this again. I'm going to be yapping while I flip the image. So, yeah, Russell hooked me up. This tape like I said, he would hook me up a lot of the. Oh, I did flip it. That's weird. I don't know why it's showing up all weird like that. Yeah. Yeah, that way I want to flip it so we can look at the song titles. So give me a second here. I'll get that going for you. But yeah, Russell was cool. You know, he was able to hook up a lot of stuff for me that I'm going to be talking about. So all right, let's see if I can reload this. That way we can talk about some of the song titles. I was too fucking lazy to write them down. Sorry for the unprofessional delay, but this is a DIY channel. Let's see if this worked. Nope. Whatever. So you get the idea. There's a bunch of fucking song titles. Too dark in here to fucking read them off of this. They're very tiny. Rotting fumes. Here, you know what? We can go ahead and read them. I'm going to play some of the demo here. Check it out. Fucking brutal. You know, I noticed too, the drummer, Craig, he's excellent. But yeah, the fucking song titles: Rotting Fumes, Vaginal Decay, Brutally Mauled Human Remains, Eternal Rot, Consumed Abortion, I Am Dead, Regurgitated Corpse. You get the idea. You know, they were part of the, I guess you could call them the forefathers of gore grind or whatever, but I don't know. I always considered HEMDALE more of just a straight up death grind band. You know, it was very death metal to talk about disgusting subjects. It just Disgorge and whatnot took it to a whole nother level, obviously. Carcass, you know, obviously kicked it off, and Zeisma, and Regurgitate, and, you know, a lot of those bands or whatever. I just think, to me, HEMDALE's more of just a straightforward death grind band. But yeah, I love this demo. Fucking classic. Let's see, you know, initially after the demo, they did splits with Exit 13. They did that amazing split with Exhumed. They eventually signed with Relapse, and they were going to do a full length, but it just never happened. So eventually that discography comp, Rad Jackson, came out in 2002. So they had broken up in 97 after a few years, and then I guess they reformed in 2013. I remember seeing that. I had a friend or two in Ohio that were actually jamming with them. if memory serves me correctly. But let's see, they did do some new material. They did that really cool three-way split with Hemorrhage and Meat Spreader, who are great bands as well. And apparently they're back on hold. So yeah, but we have the classic era, this legendary demo here, and if that Rad Jackson comp CD or whatever that Relapse put out, I don't know if that's even around anymore, if it's out of print, but it probably has everything on there. But you can enjoy the stuff online. If you want to hear all their stuff, just type in the HEMDALE Rad Jackson on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll find everything. I don't know if the band has a Bandcamp or what's going on with that, but yeah, classic fucking demo, man. Love me some HEMDALE. All right, next up. I know you can't tell what this is. If you can, you got a keen eye just by this view, just by the cover. Can you tell? Could you guess the winner gets a prize? Just kidding. MOONDARK. Demo number 1. The mighty MOONDARK. This was a band that I don't know if it was like a side project or whatever, but they're from Sweden. Surprise, surprise, right? So a lot of the Swedes are in multiple bands, including my buddy here, Johan from Interment, and a bunch of other bands. And he actually was in this band too, MOONDARK. It's probably one of the reasons why the band rules, because Johan's a fucking maniac and writes great music. So I got this at Wild Rags, actually. So I don't know if it was bootleg by Rafael Rivera or somebody else, but it's one of those demos that when I walked in the store, Richard just kind of put it in my hand. Here, just got this, and I assume Johan must have sent some in for the store, and yeah, so I was able to pick it up at Wild Rags Records, and they were on the later end of the death metal boom, so not really sure what was going on with Interment, but again, Johan is in a bunch of bands, so he probably just was doing all kinds of different stuff. And this is one of those bands too. MOONDARK. They only did this one demo, and it's fucking killer though. Really good mid-pace Swedish death metal. It just kind of straightforward, but very heavy and brutal. They were formed. MOONDARK was formed in 1993 in Avesta. That's one of the strongholds of death metal back in the day, and even now there's some killer bands coming out of there. This is a 35-minute demo. It's almost like a full length, 7 songs. So it's got a lot of stuff. The songs are Inside the Crypt, World Devastator. That they'll just crush you to death. And it's unrelenting. And it just fucking pummels you, Just great Swedish death metal. Here, let me redo the songs here. Shadow's Path, Inside the Crypt, The Dawn. Can I read that? Dimensions of Darkness, Trespassing, Into, The Abyss, Concealing the Daylight, World Devastator. That's what I was talking about. World Devastator is one of my favorites. I think Inside the Crypt and World Devastator are my favorites on here. But 3 of the members of MOONDARK, I guess when the band broke up, they formed that band De La Morte that was on Osmos for a little bit. I think they put in an album in like 96, 97, somewhere around there. And this demo just crushes you to death. It's fucking awesome. Let's play some of the demo really quick. fucking brutal, man. You know, it has some crematory and grave vibes to it. Just fucking badass. Here's the cover. Yeah, The Dawn for Our Race. That's the song I was talking about. And yeah, there's Johan down there. Oh, yeah, that's right. Johan's playing drums. But Mats has a brutal voice. Killer stuff. But yeah, like I said, just really heavy and fucking just unrelenting, fucking just prodding, you know, good mid-pace stuff. Here's their classic logo. And here's a creepy band photo. It's like one of the only ones I was able to find because they only did this one demo and they didn't do a lot of pictures. So classic stuff. So yeah, apparently they're active again. So they've been back since 2011. Yeah, I don't know. There's no new material, but I guess apparently they are doing a full length. That I don't know much about it. And they did put this out under the name The Shadow Path. And it's been put out on various formats and labels between 2007 and 2015. So these guys all went on to other bands, you know, like I said, Johan has Interment and a bunch of other stuff, and crust punk bands and other death metal bands. And I think he was even helping Entombed at one point with some of their live stuff. And then some of the other guys were in Uncanny, Sentinix, Catatonia, and a bunch more. So, yeah, it's another one of those one and done demo bands, you know. Just they put out the one demo and they kind of just disappear for a while. But classic, you know, we got the demo, so that's we got the demo out of them, so that's cool. But then apparently we might be getting a debut album after all these years, you know. Hey, I was kind of a part of that with Dead Conspiracy, you know. It took a long time for their debut album to come out, you know, and I was honored to be a part of that. But I guess better late than never, you know. 30 years later, why the fuck not, right? So we'll get a Moondark album at some point. Johan's awesome. Like I said, he always says, Helga waits. Helga waits. So that's a Swedish term for Hella waits. So he always posts that on social media. Helga waits. So I always tell him that. Helga waits, Johan. So awesome stuff. Fucking Moondark. You heard it. Go check it out. If you haven't heard that band, they're fucking heavy as shit. Like I said, Mats. He's got the vocals. Fucking some putrid stuff. So go check out Moondark. All right. The next band. Multiplex. I know their logo's kind of crazy. They're from Japan. They got one of those unreadable logos. They were doing unreadable logos when before it was like a trendy thing now. But Multiplex was heavy as fuck. This demo, and the couple of these songs ended up on the 7-inch. That was also legendary. So this demo and 7-inch were just crushing. Some of the heaviest stuff ever fucking recorded, actually. You know, they were formed in Tokyo, Japan in 1989. This one is demo number 1, put out in 1991. It's got 3 songs: Uncanny Complex, Self-Destructive Flattery, and Hypocritical Instinct. So it's 12 minutes of just pure grinding death metal savagery. You know, it's just fucking weird time signatures too. Interesting stuff. Kind of has like a Godflesh vibe to it at times, you know, but just much more aggressive in death metal. But yeah, it's definitely one of the heaviest bands ever on here. And you know, it's a total death metal / grinding hybrid that It's just madness to me. You know, so the two of these songs ended up on the Uncanny Complex 7-inch. I talked about the 7-inch in the intro. Psycho Slaughter Records in '92, that 7-inch came out. And Psycho Slaughter was awesome. They did a bunch of cool 7-inches back in the day, like Corpse God, Plutocracy, Malediction, Decrepit, and some others. So there were 3 cover colors with this demo: red, green, and black and white. I got the green one, as you can see. This is the red one. That's the one that I found online. But yeah, I got the green one. As you can see, it's the green one. Try to get the glare off of there. Here is the classic. Check this out. Yeah, what a mix. Fucking badass. Like I said, heavy duty stuff. Here's their crazy logo. Very interesting. Yeah, if you look close, you can read it. But yeah, this most of the fucking logos these days are unreadable. So it seems to be a trend. But Multiplex might have started it. You know, you're looking at that. What the fuck is that? But hey, I'd wear a shirt with that. I love this stuff. There's a cool photo of the guys jamming somewhere. Not sure if that's their jam room. Kind of looks like it. Might be a gig somewhere in Japan. I don't think they made it outside of Japan to play show. Not 100% sure on that. But classic stuff. So they did some other stuff after this. They did a full length that was all right. There was something with the production. The guitars weren't nearly as heavy as on here. You know, it's kind of flat sounding. It's got some cool stuff on there, but they did some a couple of EPs, some splits. You know, some of it was cool, some of it was weird, like I said, but they never came close to this recording of the demo on the Uncanny Complex 7-inch. But I had to put them on this stack show. Really fucking loved Multiplex. You know, it was interesting when they came out too. It was just kind of like, holy shit. What was this? You know, and I actually got this tape from an old friend named Sean, as another tape trader friend of mine. I don't talk to him anymore, but he always, you know, I got him into some cool stuff and he got me into some cool stuff. So he discovered Multiplex. He was really into Japanese anime, Japanese hardcore, and Japanese death metal and grindcore too. So, you know, he had a lot of the old SOB stuff and, you know, just a lot of the old Japanese hardcore stuff, Gibbed and Lip Cream and, you know, Auto and all that killer stuff. You know, there was a compilation album back in the day. I think it was like 4 bands, a lot of those bands. And then Sean got me into Confuse, famous crusty punk band, a lot of good stuff. And, you know, Japan's known for a lot of that stuff, but they had a real, you know, they still do. They have a killer death metal scene. And Multiplex was definitely, this recording is one of my all-time favorite demos. It's one of the heaviest demos ever recorded. And I appreciate Sean actually getting me an actual copy of the demo. He didn't dub it for me. You know, we didn't have green paper available back then really that much. But you could probably do it at Kinko's. But yeah, I wasn't that knowledgeable about that stuff back then, doing color covers and colored paper and stuff like that. We were just doing, you know, especially like at my house, you know, my parents had a black and white copier, you know, and that's how I would make my covers. If I was making my own or making them for friends or whatever, we would just dub a black and white, you know, cover of it. Who cares, as long as you had the tape. But yeah, this is from one of the guys in Multiplex that Sean was writing to him. So, you know, he was able to get me a demo, and we traded for, I forgot what I traded him for, but gave to him. But anyways, yeah, Multiplex, killer fucking shit. Go look the Demo 91 up on YouTube, or the Uncanny Complex 7-inch on YouTube. And like I've been saying, if you guys need links or anything, help with finding anything, just send me a message or get in touch on the YouTube channel. We can message and take it from there. All right. I wanted to end this particular Demo Stack show with a very, very special demo that's near and dear to me. It, you know, I remember a lot of the packages I have received and opened over the years, and a lot of them just really, I remember exactly where I was that day. Not every single one, but a lot of the really, you know, when you open up a package and there's a nuclear death demo, that type of stuff, you know what I mean? Deceased, Paradise Lost, Autopsy, Immolation, Blasphemy, you know, just some of the bands that you're just like, yeah, man, that's fucking, oh, I fucking love these bands, right? And this tape here, you know, like I said, I remembered receiving them, opening the packages, what they smelled like, what the weather was like outside, where I was in my life that particular day. Some other ones I couldn't fucking tell you where I got it. You know, it's whatever my mindset was at the time and how impactful that particular band was to me, I guess. But this one, Pentagram, Chile, this is special. And this has a bunch of stuff on it. It's like 120 minutes of Pentagram. It's their demos, live stuff, rehearsals, the first EP. It's just fucking incredible. It's chock full of stuff. So I got this from my buddy Doc from Final Holocaust fanzine. Here is that. This is their 5th issue. There's Carl. Fucking how cool is that? Carl from Bolt Thrower in a macabre shirt. He's kicking ass somewhere. But yeah, it's interesting because he hit me up. We were, you know, very cool pen pals. And I think I got every single issue of Final Holocaust. And we started tape trading. And he was really interested in Nausea from LA, as was everybody in Europe and even Japan and Australia and South America that I'd write to. Everybody always wanted Nausea tapes, merchandise, Majesty tapes and merchandise, old Terrorizer stuff, you know. So at the time, Terrorizer had just put out World Downfall, but they have their before the Downfall, you know, era. I know FOAD Records, FOAD Records put out that comp, which has all the old Terrorizer stuff on there, the Nightmares demo and rehearsals and stuff like that, which is killer. World Downfall is a whole nother level. We all love it. It's a grind, you know, classic. But a lot of the hardcore dudes like Doc, they wanted to go backwards and check out the Nausea stuff, you know, that Oscar and Eric were doing. And so he said, you know, he asked me, hey, you know, he sent me a short list, but he said, have you heard Pentagram from Chile? And I was like, yeah, I've seen the name around, you know, I've seen the name around, and I might have, some friends might have played them, when I was out, but I don't have anything by them yet. He's like, oh man, they're one of my all-time favorite bands, like top 5. Oh shit, okay. So he's all like, I'll make you a tape. So he made me this and just stuffed it full of Pentagram Chile material. So, like I said, I remember that day like it was yesterday. So thanks, Doc. This is one of my all-time favorite things that I own. And yeah, everybody overseas, was totally obsessed with Nausea, which is understandable. Nausea fucking rules. Total cult band. They're still around. Eric and Oscar are still doing it. My buddy Alejandro has been in the band for a while, in and out. And my other buddy Leon plays. They're legends, and it's always killer. They're still gigging around and stuff. But yeah, so Doc from Final Holocaust fanzine. Like I said, this is the second fanzine that I talked about in this episode. I will eventually start doing some fanzine episodes talking about that stuff. But so Doc and I, sent him I slammed a tape full of Nausea stuff that I had and sent that out to him. All the prior demos and rehearsals and stuff that were around. Not 120 minutes, but yeah, he didn't care. He gave me the Pentagram stuff, which is killer. So here's the classic logo. I think that's one of the EPs. I mean, everybody's seen that shirt around, classic, timeless, fucking cult. Pentagram is definitely one of the most beloved bands. I mean, shit. They started in Santiago, Chile, all the way back in 1985. So that's fucking awesome, Look at the boys. They're babies. There they are in Santiago, getting ready to death thrash it up. And, this is a very, very special cult band that is well loved and respected within the worldwide underground. Not just by me, just by everybody. That's a diehard, a true motherfucker, There's the infamous cover. I believe that's the first recording that they did. So that's what Doc did. He just copied that, made a copy of the cover for me, and then filled that tape up. Let's play some classic stuff real quick. Check it out. Yeah, man. See, that quality's not for everybody, right? Some people listen to that. I don't know about that. And fuck you. That fucking rules. And that's like 85, 86 when they were doing that. Early on, they were just kids. They're in Chile. Who knows what type of equipment they were using, what they were using to record this stuff. They're fucking blasting. That's fucking crazy. I mean, there was some hardcore punk out there that was pretty quick, But I mean, did they even hear that stuff? If they're down in South America, how do they hear some of the super fast bands that were starting to evolve in Sweden and the United States, you know. Fuck, who knows? You know, it's incredible that they were able to do such crazy shit back then, you know, crazy music. But, you know, I'm sure they were just like anybody else. They were taking what Venom and Slayer and Sodom and Creator were doing and just trying to, you know, especially down in South America, those fuckers down there, man, they weren't fucking around, you know. Let's get heavier and faster. So that's what they were doing, you know, and that's why we love them so much. Pentagram's an all-time great band, you know, one of the greatest in the history of the underground. Anybody that like knows their shit knows that. Super, super, very influential, way ahead of their time as far as I'm concerned. You know, they definitely helped pave the way for the South American brutality to come. You know, Volcano, Pentagram started it off, and the rest of the band, the Cavalera Brothers and Wagner Antichrist, and you know, so on and so forth. They all just took it to different levels. All the South American bands were just so brutal and evil and fast and fucking badass and heavy, you know. So Pentagram is definitely one of my all-time favorites. So yeah, Doc was over there in Belgium. Like I said, here's the fanzine again. Thanks, Doc. Final Holocaust, go look that up. I don't know what's available online. I doubt these fanzines are available on eBay or whatever. You know, I don't know anybody that will be selling them or anything like that. At some point, I'll have to, like I said, I'd have to do some episodes about it. But yeah, so this tape here is chock full of stuff, like I said, and pretty much has every recorded thing that they did from 1986 to 1991. So, like I said, man, this is one of my all-time favorite tapes. Yeah, fucking Pentagram. It's one of the most beloved things that I own, and proud to have it. Not going anywhere. If you try to steal it from me, I'll fucking kill you. How's that? And Anton and Juan Pablo, original members, they're still at it. And, you know, Ruin had a great opportunity and honor to share the stage with Pentagram on the same night at California Death Fest. And it was quite incredible, you know, just to be able to, it's just bragging rights for me, you know, pretty fucking awesome. And I was able to meet and talk to Anton and Juan real quick, Juan Pablo, and just fucking, you know, as they were about to go fucking slay on the stage, you know. So that was a crazy night too. It was like right in the middle of the pandemic, so it was fucking scary times. COVID's flying around everywhere. I ended up getting sick after that fest, but I didn't get COVID at that time, but I ended up getting pretty sick because there was all kinds of fucking nasty shit flying around. But I could say that I was able to play with Pentagram. It's just fucking, it's mind-blowing, you know, having this tape as a kid and loving this tape and still listening to this all the fucking time. You know, it's just the fucking 16-year-old me is just like, what the fuck? There's no way. That's what I'm talking about earlier. You never think that things are going to evolve and the world is an interesting place, you know. That's why, you know, a lot of the negativity going on out there in the world, you know, people just need to tune out and focus on fucking crazy shit like this, you know, the fucking Pentagram tapes and recordings, and just focus on fucking what you love, what can move you forward in life, and enjoy life, man. We're not here for very long. Our flesh vessels end up rotting and dying. Then our souls go somewhere else. So if you believe in that type of shit, right? But I'd rather focus on fucking being able to play shows at Pentagram and shit, man. It's just still fucking mind-blowing. And that was 2022. So like I said, middle of the pandemic. So, you know, they went on to, you know, be legendary, and they're still out there playing. They're playing all over the world, festivals mainly. I don't know. I don't think they tour too much. If they do, they probably do the typical, you know, I mean, shit, they probably have day jobs and shit. I don't know if they're surviving off of being in Pentagram down there, you know, but, you know, I know that I definitely don't survive off of fucking playing my shitty death metal. Pentagram's much better, so maybe they fucking make some money down there, but more than likely they're probably doing day jobs. So when they play, they just do one-off festivals or hit a couple two-tree fucking big cities somewhere. But yeah, Pentagram has a special place in my dark heart, especially this tape. Like I said, this is one of my all-time favorite things that I have in my collection. So I had to include it. It's not an official demo technically, but I had to put it in the stacks because it's my fucking show and I can do whatever the fuck I want. I know you crazy fuckers don't mind. I know you crazy fuckers love Pentagram. So that's going to do it for this episode. Episode 21, Demo Stacks Volume 9. So yeah, we're up to episode 21. I promise I got some interviews coming. I just trying to schedule that stuff, and I got so many demos to talk about, and I got the classic albums episode I want to do and some other special things, and I found some more black metal demos, including one that, holy shit, when the people find out I have this black metal demo, they offer me a lot of money for it. It's very controversial, let's say, and I'm going to probably just do an episode on that because I got an interesting story behind it, because I got it from a friend that, you know, you might have heard of and this and that, but that's such is the life of the mutant 16-year-old tape trader from the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So, but yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Again, let me know if you have any questions about any of these releases. I try to cover everything and try to tell some stories if I have a connection to it personally or where I got it or whatever. But yeah, if I forgot something, just fucking leave a comment and remind me and I can update that or whatever. Like I said, if you need any help finding links or anything, or, like, you know, any questions about this stuff, please feel free to comment or, you know, hit me up on social media. And then don't forget to like the video, comment on there if you want, throw some horns, tell me I suck, tell me you love me, whatever. But yeah, I'd love to hear from people. Keep it positive, obviously, because ever since I did that episode a while back, calling some people out, I don't have any fucking negative comments. But, you know, I'm not putting people on blast. I don't want people to get fucking hate mail and shit like that. But, you know, come on, man. Some of these fucking comments are absolutely fucking retarded. And some people need to be held accountable for their fucking actions. You know what I mean? All right. So, everybody out there, take care. I'll see you next time. I should have a new episode up. And, again, try to do those interviews. And also found my boxes of 7-inches too. So I'm going to do a 7-inch stacks series as well. So I got some cool shit coming up, you know, still got tons of stuff to go through. And we're on episode 21. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I want to try to get some guests on here. I just trying to schedule that stuff and trying to get, you know, I have the way my mind operates is I fucking get something in my mind, then I write it down, and my book here, my notebook, and I just have to go in that order just because I have that fucking that type of mind. I have to get that fucking done that way, and I do have the chats, guests, interviews, stuff separated and whatnot. It's been tough scheduling a few of these people though, because they get busy and, you know, or they just weren't able to do it when we scheduled it, and then we try to reschedule and it just doesn't work out because I can't do it, yada yada. So it's fine though. We'll get them on here. We'll get some more chats. I mean, you tell me you want to see some more stuff, certain things you want me to cover, certain bands or whatever. Let me know. But I have a lot of stuff. I don't have absolutely everything. You know, I'm not Uncle Ken. He literally had everything. But if I have it, I'll try to hunt it down I also wanted to kind of start bringing on some people from some other YouTube channels, do like a joint show. You know, some of these other channels, some of the friends I've been making on here are very cool people. And I got some random guests too that don't even play music. They're just fans. And I'd like to bring them on there because I think, you know, hey, anybody interesting and fucking cool that wants to fucking chop it up and talk shop about some fucking old school underground death metal and grindcore and shit like that, you know, feel free to hit me up. I'd love to have you on if we could work it out. That's cool. At some point, I might do some live stuff, but I enjoy just doing these videos. I got a little bit more control over it and whatnot, and seem to be surfing under the copyright bullshit. So, yeah, that's good. Anyways, thanks again, everybody. Who loves you, baby? Me, that's who. And we'll see you next week. Have a good one and a better one tomorrow. See ya.